Good day, everyone. We're on our way to the Bushcraft shelter. As you can see, I don't have much daylight left. I got it a bit later than I expected today. But we're on our way to the shelter. Gonna set up camp, gonna get dinner started, gonna get everything ready, and then we'll talk. And there she is. All right, today we are hammock camping. Reason for that, I did a video recently. I don't know when I'm gonna post it, if I'm gonna post it, but I had all my hammock gear already ready to go in a bag. So it was dry, figured why not before I put it away. I know I have the shelter, but I genuinely like hammock camping. I always sleep really well in a hammock, so this was kind of a no-brainer. It was already ready to go. I'm not sure where I'm gonna set up yet. I want to be close to the shelter, but not too close that the sparks from the fire burn my stuff. Tends to happen to my jackets often, but I don't really mind, it happens. But my sleeping stuff I like to keep far enough, so not too far, but get a good 10-20 feet at least. I have a feeling these two trees might be a little too far apart, but we'll find out. And that is the sleep setup for tonight. I know, not very exciting. Underquilt, hammock, sleeping bag. It's not calling for snow, it's not calling for rain, so I'm gonna take my chances. In a worst case scenario, I didn't bring a tarp actually, but in a worst case scenario, I will pack up my stuff and head into the shelter. It's right there. I mean, I'm 10-15 feet away, so if that is the case, it's not an issue. It won't be ideal, but like I said, it's not calling for anything. I normally bring a tarp, but normally don't have a shelter either, so that's the setup for tonight. I know it's not the most exciting, but I really do sleep better in a hammock, so I figured why not today. Also, I've for sure said it before, but all of my sleeping gear gets transported in a dry bag. I want to make sure that when I go to sleep, my sleeping bag, my clothes, whatever I'm wearing and sleeping in is dry. Same reason why I have snow pants. I know it looks ridiculous sometimes, but I know I'm dry when I wear this, and they're somewhat comfortable. I mean, they're alright. Same reason why I don't have a jacket on right now. It's not hot, but it's not extremely cold, so I would be too hot in my jacket right now, so getting camp ready later, I'll put it back on. But for now, the most important thing when you're into camping is staying dry, in my opinion. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but stay dry, guys. one sled full is typically enough, and I do have some wood left over from my last camp, so it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, there's some branches down a bit everywhere. Try to get something that's dry, and it shouldn't be too bad. Also cleans up at the same time, right? Oh, the joys of filming outdoors, huh? The sun is starting to set pretty fast now, so I do want to get this fire started. I have some fire rope, and this stuff's pretty cool. It's a big roll of fire starting roll or tape or fire strip roll. So what you do with this is you grab it. I actually took way too much, but you grab it, kind of scuff it up, Obviously the day I'm trying to do it in real time, it gives me problems. It's always like that. Once the camera's rolling, it's like I forget how to do everything. I did get much better at this, by the way. When I look back at my old videos, it's almost hard to watch how bad I am, and it's just my technique is terrible. What I do is I flick, or I scrape this, and I stop like this, and I want to see if that's the spark that lights whatever kindling I'm using. And it's just hard to watch, but I did get much better, and for some reason, whenever I try to film something in real time, it does not work. So we're gonna get this lit. We will get this lit. And I do have a lighter in case, but I don't want to use that, so we're gonna get this lit with this. Got a fresh piece, and we're gonna get it this time. I swear this has never taken that long to light before. This is probably my third or fourth take. And it actually took twice before, and both times I forgot to record. So we have fire now. We'll get dinner started soon. Like I said, I swear I've never had that much struggle lighting this fire tape. The minute the camera's rolling, I swear my brain shuts off, or I don't know what goes on, but I could just not get this thing lit. And the two times I did, I looked at the camera and realized that I had never hit record. So we do have fire, and I'm going to put back on my jacket because it is getting kind of cold. I'm also not moving much, so it also doesn't help. And while we wait for some coals, you know we have the beer. This one is Montreal State of Mind, and the can's pretty cool. It's a bunch of graffiti all over the can. It's all names of places. I don't know the proper term. I have district in my head, but areas in Montreal. So you have Plateau, you have Old Port, Rosemont, Verdun, St. Henry. You have a whole bunch of places in Montreal. It's from a brewery in Montreal called Four Origins, or Microbrasserie 4 Origines. And this is a New England IPA, so cheers guys. And I have to take off my glove for this. I believe there is a story behind the Four Origins name, and I don't know it, but I do have 3 beers from these guys, so I'll find that out and let you guys know in one of the other videos if you guys really do care. But cheers, thanks for joining me. Oh well, it's 7%, and it's an IPA, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's actually really smooth. It's actually pretty good. And for dinner, I am doing some hot pot. If you don't know what that is, think fondue, but with soup broth, and you're dipping in vegetables and meats. So we have some beef, some rice cakes, here's some other stuff. I'll get into it as I go. For now, I'm going to get the broth going and get that going first. As for the broth itself, the pack came with some spicy oil, so I took a portion of it. Came with some hot chilies and some little bean looking things. I don't really know what they are. I couldn't read the package. It was in a language I couldn't understand. But there's some bean looking things and they smell a bit like beef broth. So I have no idea what they do or what they add. And the actual broth packet itself, I wasn't a fan of. Like I said, I couldn't read the label, but it tasted a bit like a curry. And it's not the flavor I'm looking for when I'm having hot pot. So I don't mind that flavor, but not when I'm having hot pot. So I did bring an instant soup when I brought the soup base from that. Gonna add this all in, get a boil, and then we can start cooking. Just took a little lick of that oil, and it's a garlic, spicy garlic type of flavor. In with the peppers now. Let's talk about what we have here. We have some instant noodles, which isn't what you would normally have with this. I find the fresh noodles kind of gunk up the broth, so I went with the instant. Figured it was an easier option. You have some beef, some really thin pieces of beef, which you just kind of boil for about 30-40 seconds. Have some tofu. Now, I know tofu gets a lot of hate. When I first found out about tofu years and years ago, they sort of advertise it as a meat alternative, which I really don't think it is. I think that's why it gets a lot of hate. I like it as a side because it's sort of like white fish, how it just absorbs all the flavor of whatever you're cooking it in. So it's going to absorb all the flavor of that broth, and it definitely is not a replacement for meat in my opinion, but it's not bad when you add it to a soup like this. Then we have some bok choy. This is just trying to get some greens in, you know. Boils up pretty nice in there. I also have some rice cakes. Let me show you one. It's a hard piece of rice. It's basically rice pounded up into a paste and then formed into this. You boil it and it gets sort of a chewy texture. It's actually quite interesting. If you eat it now, actually quite hard, but it gets a chewy texture and I actually like it a lot. It's sort of like the tofu, it absorbs the flavor of the broth. And I'm going to put these in right now because these will take a little longer to absorb the moisture, but we'll get going soon. Also, we'll be using chopsticks for this. You can touch the meat and cook and eat with the same ones. It's red meat, it's beef, so I'm not too concerned. Actually, I'm not concerned at all. I would not do this with chicken or a lot of other meats, but red meat, I'm not concerned at all. In fact, it's usually eaten like this anyway. If you want to use another utensil, you can, but when you go to restaurants for this, it's always the one pair of chopsticks they give you, so I figured I assume that's safe, but it is red meat, so it is fine. typically only supposed to dip the meat in for a few seconds and just take it back out. I'm lazy, so I kind of just throw it all in there, and then I find it like little surprises later. And although it is a bit overcooked, it's not dry or anything. I mean, it's been swimming in broth, so it's not exactly terrible, right? We'll start with that. We're not bringing any of this home, so we are finishing everything we have. By the way, I did hear a howl in the distance, and it doesn't sound like a dog, doesn't sound like a coyote. I'm not really sure what it was. It doesn't sound big, so I'm not concerned, but I did put my knife up there just in case. I'm really not concerned, but I don't know what animal that is. I don't like not knowing what animal that was. I don't know if you could hear that, but there's a few of them. I think it is coyotes in the end. I'm just going to monitor how far they are from me. Just keep an eye on that. Getting all the smoke in my eyes right now. Oh, okay, I gotta move back. Like I said, as a meat alternative, definitely not, but to add to dishes, I have no problem with tofu. And those rice cakes. Note to self, cut shorter sticks next time. It's kind of hard to feed the fire with that grill there. By the way, when you go to restaurants for this, you can also make sauces. I'm not going to get into that because I don't really know what the ingredients are, but different sauces anyway, like dipping sauces and all that. It's a fun experience. I did do the noodles last, and it's because I'm pretty sure they're gonna absorb most of the broth. So at least everything's cooked. Put the noodles in last. It'll absorb most of that, and I'll probably have less cleanup. Hopefully, it's also why I bring garbage bags every time. All my dishes, wrappers, cups, all that stuff goes into a garbage bag, sealed up nicely, so it doesn't leak in any of my bags. And then take care of it when I get home. So always bring a garbage bag. Sometimes I forget. Try not to, but one thing I did forget today though was Kleenex. I always get the sniffles when I'm out here. It's something about movement, and like getting my heart rate going. Let's say. So anytime I walk or hike, work out, always get the sniffles, and I forgot to bring some Kleenex today. So sorry about that if you hear that throughout the video. Also, I'm not that great into beer pairing. I do know a few things that go well with certain beers, but the New England IPA with this, not a bad mix. Not upset about it at all. I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of seeing clips of me eating by now, but I don't know if you're supposed to eat the peppers. I mean, they're in the broth. I try not. I don't really try not to. I mean, if they end up in my mouth, if I end up eating them, okay. But I don't know if they're meant to be eaten. I mean, I guess so, right? I used to think they're a bit like cloves or bay leaves, how you're supposed to take them out. But I've never really paid attention to whether I eat them or not. That got me in the back of the throat. Alright. Gonna finish eating this. Like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of seeing clips of me eating, so enjoy the fire while I finish this up. That's pretty much all for tonight, but enjoy the fire for now. By the way, I did hear some howling again. It was coming from that direction before, and now it's coming from that direction and that direction. Doesn't sound any closer, but I'm still not thrilled about that. But coyotes, they normally don't bother me. In fact, I would say they never bother me. I'm always just aware that they're around. I haven't heard them in about 30 minutes or so now, but I always like to be aware, you know. By the way, in case you're new here, you're not sure where I'm from, the beer I'm having is Montreal State of Mind, like I mentioned earlier, but I'm actually from Montreal. I'm not there right now. If you know me personally and you know where I'm from, you know I'm not saying that. It's not, no one's gonna know where it is. But I'm originally from Montreal, and I'm not far from there right now. But just forgot to mention that with the beer. So, anyways, almost out. Almost out. The meal's almost done. That's a solid meal I had right there. Could easily put that into two, maybe three portions. But we are gonna power through and finish it. Gonna sleep good tonight. Going to let the fire die down. Almost pretty much done the beer. I did have a viewer suggest a beer to try from Poland, which I was able to find. We have weird beer laws here in Quebec, so it's not always possible to find certain beers. I mean, I'm sure I could have, but it's strange with beer. So I did go to Ontario, which wasn't that far of a drive, but I went there. I was able to find the beer. My next camp, I'm probably going to pair that beer with a meal. So all I have to say is if you guys have suggestions for beers, doesn't mean I can always find them, especially here in Canada, but I'm open to try it out, and stay tuned for that. I'm going to let the fire burn down and get to bed. It's not terribly late yet, but it's been a good day. It's been a long day, so we are going to go to sleep pretty soon. As soon as the fire's up. Sounds like they're getting riled up a little bit. Alright, everyone. The fire is still going a little bit, but it'll go on its own. Winter's the only time I do this, but I'm going to call it a night, get to bed. Not the most glamorous angle, but it is what it is, you know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, everyone. It got a little windy this morning, so I'm up a little earlier than usual. My water froze again. I should bury it by now, but I like to use it as a gauge to see how cold it got and stayed overnight. It got a little colder than I expected. I didn't expect it to freeze last night. But we are going to pack up and get out of here. Speaking of the coyotes, I actually realized last night it's actually mating season for them, so that's probably why they're making so much noise yesterday. In any case, they had no interest in me, so it's a good thing. But yeah, time to pack up and head out of here, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.